What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 25 of the College Loop Podcast, the Colby Wooden episode, if you will.
Good
More
plug.
on him in a second. But I'm also joined today by Harrison Tarr, who is on my left as always, even though it's my right, looking where I'm pointing. But yeah, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. I told you I'm doing NASCAR shirts every day this week. So I broke out the 2018 Atlanta Motor Speedway t-shirt. Got a late submission for a mailbag question from Eamon Smith asking me that if the Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin, rivalry is the greatest in NASCAR since blank. And my answer before we get into actual Auburn sports that people care about, Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt Sr. And that kind of ties into the fact that, Daytona has a lot to do with Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s legacy. So I'm very excited for this weekend. Can you tell?
I can tell that you are very excited immensely. I am a little hesitant because my driver, Chase Briscoe, I know he's going to do very well until he wrecks in the last 5 laps, because that's what he has been doing and that's what he is known for doing. So
hey, we've got another NASCAR mailbag question that's buried. It's an Easter egg later in the show that we won't take up most of your time. For you people listening, our wonderful fans, we appreciate you. We won't take up too much time, but you never know. I might bring up Chase Briscoe later.
Oh. Well, to get started with football, as always, now that we know that y'all love the meat and potatoes right before you want your entree, if you will.
Sure.
You want the meal first. But Chad Reuter, he's an NFL analyst, released his latest mock draft. He released a 3-round mock draft, which power to him, because I've released a first round before, and that was
stressful.
Good Lord. It took me, I think, 3 days to get it complete, and I was ready to pull my hair out whenever I got it posted.
Sure.
But Chad Reuter has projected Derick Hall to fall to the 3rd round.
Yes.
So
interesting.
We'll talk about each player as it comes out, because there are 3 players I want to talk about for this specific news tidbit. What is he thinking? He didn't have a single analytical point as to why he is that far down. He just kind of has them there.
Sure. I'm with you, Dylan. This was mind-boggling. You and I talked about it earlier today on the Auburn Daily Show, or I guess earlier yesterday, as this show released on Thursday, on the Wednesday installment. If you want to hear Dylan and I's full breakdown, make sure you go check that out at the Auburn Daily. But we talked about this a little bit earlier, that it's kind of a crapshoot, right? Because right now you're late in the game, but also early in the game in terms of draft evaluations. You've not had your pro day come by yet. The combine's not here yet. And the interview process is really just kind of starting to get the ball rolling. So I don't necessarily love this mock draft, and you and I were mentioning that you brought up some good points about Chad Reuter's first round, and there's some questionable things, and people are going to have different opinions, and Derick may slide this far. I would be amazed if he fell out of the top 40. I would be would be surprised if he wasn't taken on at the end of the first day, but everyone's going to have their different opinion. Mel Kiper doesn't tend to agree here on the 3rd round projection. So I'm not too pressed on it, and Auburn fans shouldn't be pressed on it. But I thought there were some bright spots from this mock draft.
Yeah, and the bright spots not being him having the Panthers trading up for Will Levis. So that was some kind of crime that came up. But yeah, you're not wrong. Things look pretty bright for Owen Pappoe, who is listed here. I think it was the 96th pick
to the Washington Commanders. And it's worth noting that
97th pick.
97th to the Commanders. It's worth noting that Derick Hall was projected to go to the Las Vegas Raiders as well.
Yeah, so woo for that. But yeah, Owen Pappoe is projected to go to the 3rd round, which I think we've kind of listed him as a 3rd round caliber prospect, and it's nice to see that someone agrees with us, as much as his other takes are pretty bad. But I think we've agreed that Chad Reuter is the best at projecting where Owen Pappoe goes in the draft.
Correct. We've always said that. We've always said Chad Reuter was the best NFL analyst in terms of evaluating Owen Pappoe's draft stock. So yeah, this one makes some sense.
But he's the worst at projecting where quarterbacks go in the draft and where Derick Hall goes.
Obviously. And we've long said this, long being for about 12 hours now. This is good for Owen. This is a good projection for OP. I don't necessarily know where he falls yet. And when we talked about this, I talked about him a lot earlier, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk, since I did my bit. You said my piece on the Auburn Daily Show. I think that Owen Pappoe is one of those talents, Dylan, that his pro day and his combine can really dictate where he winds up going in the draft, more so than a lot of guys, because I think a lot of NFL teams are going to look and say, I don't know that he's a linebacker, but I think we can use him.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm reading some of his other picks, and I'm baffled by some of some of these picks he has in this mock draft. But yeah, Owen Papo is a what's his nickname again? Is it the Freak? Was that
It's the
correct?
freak.
The Freak, because he's just an athletic monster. He's a linebacker. Well, he plays linebacker, and he can run a I believe 4.3 40 was what it
4.3.
was, which is holy crap, that's fast. If I tried to run a 4.3, I think I'd pull something. Around the
I would like
first,
to see how far you get in 4.3.
I'd probably 4.3 is probably my 10-yard dash. So yeah, the fact that he can run a 4.3 40 and they have him playing linebacker in college is outstanding because this guy is a nickelback. He's a safety. He is not a linebacker.
Sure.
And you said it earlier. He should be getting handwritten 10 to 12 page apologies from some of the coaching staffs.
MLA formatting.
Yeah, MLA formatting, APA, the works, all of it, all of the college nonsense we had to write. Because, good Lord Almighty, could you imagine the amount of picks he could have gotten if they would have had him as a safety or corner, nickel, anything? This dude should not have been playing inside linebacker.
I don't know that he was in the wrong spot to begin with, but I do question both the Malzahn and the Harston administration, for that matter, for their evaluations of Owen Papo, because I know he's recruited out of high school as the guy. Made huge plays at linebacker in high school and made some really big plays while he was at Auburn. Let's not forget that. I mean, he had he had a certain Penn State quarterback looking out his ear hole for a second there. Let's not forget about that. But
let's ignore how that game ended, by the way.
That's neither here nor there. But I do think it's unfortunate that nobody bothered to say, man, I think this guy might just be a really big safety. And I think some NFL team will say, oh my gosh, like we have the personnel that we can have a guy whose job is the nickel. We can plug this guy into our DB rotation. We can see what he can do on a number of different levels that'll add as a true weapon, an athletic weapon on our team, and he's got the build. So it's an interesting situation in and around the Owen Papo camp and in his draft stock.
Yeah, and we've been comparing him a lot to one specific player, as in the Isaiah Simmons. But if you have him as like a pure safety, I'm looking at comparing him a little bit to a Cam Chancellor type.
I like this. I like that comp a lot.
Chancellor was not your usual like a ball hawking safety. He was That was more the Earl Thomas from the Legion of Boom. But Owen Papo's listed at 6'1", 226. Cam Chancellor's about 2 inches taller, 6'3", 232. But that's because Cam Chancellor was a linebacker put back there at safety, because Cam Chancellor would knock your head off.
Right.
And there were times where you had to hope that a cornerback would tackle you just so you wouldn't get the third level and meet Cam Chancellor down the field.
Right.
And that's what I kind of see Owen Papo being. Because if he's the safety, that hit stick's gonna hurt a lot.
I would be very curious, especially downhill tackles, getting people outside the hashes. Good night, good luck getting away from that guy when he's behind his pads. Very interesting situation around Owen Papo. We had a really good mailbag question. I think it's very applicable to football, Dylan. And I wanted to touch your to pick your brain here rather on the matter. Kind of pivoting from, I'm sorry, you just highlighted a note in our rundown, and I completely forgot about Colby Wooden, and so did somebody else.
Yeah, Chad Reuter forgot completely about Colby Wooden, who we have talked about in length, is the second best prospect from the Auburn Tigers in this draft, and I don't know where in the world this guy has him going, because Colby Wooden is a second round pick. If Derick Hall's a first round pick, Colby Wooden is a second round pick. I was floored when I read through all of the entire mock. I went pick by pick through all three of his rounds. I almost know his picks front to back, because I was like, all right, maybe someone missed Colby Wooden somewhere. What in the world is this guy thinking?
I wish, for those of you who are not watching the YouTube version of this podcast, go watch it at whatever this point in time is, because that noise that Dylan just made and the facial expression was so worth your entire watch. And I'm not even saying this because I want click numbers. I don't even care. If you're there, go ahead and subscribe. But it's just worth your while. And Dylan,
I was a little upset.
I justifiably so. I agree. Colby Wooden's probably the second best Auburn Tiger in this draft class. Now, now I'm gonna jump back to that mailbag question because I know we want to keep the show on the road. This is super applicable. Word came official this past weekend. Texas and Oklahoma officially coming to the SEC in 2024. It's official now. We kind of all figured this was going to happen. We knew they were coming. We just figured it would be by 2024. I think the original plan was 26, and nobody believed that, right?
25.
25,
but then the playoffs happened. So
yeah, 25, and then nobody believed that. I mean, as soon as the terms were agreed to, that was a given that they were going to get to the SEC as soon as possible. At AU Barn Trooper on Twitter asked the impact of Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC in 2024 in terms of how does that impact Auburn. I think there is a lot of conversation there for Auburn fans and preferred format for conference divisions. Dylan, I don't have a super strong opinion on conference divisions because I'm personally of the mentality switch over to the Big 12 method. If you're going to have this big of a grouping, I would be curious if you go to the pod method, I would assume you would be in the boat of you'd want to keep Alabama, Georgia, and LSU, regardless of for rivalry purposes, or does that not matter to you?
Well, of course you want to keep certain rivalries around, and I think that maybe getting rid of the divisions in general might be helpful.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I'm also on board with the quad method, or I forgot what it's actually called. It's not
the
quads, pod system, because that gives you three permanent rivals, and then you also get I think you get one permanent out of division or two. It's like weird. It's all wonky.
I think you get two protected rivals and then one team that's not a historic rival for you. So I guess it would still be your protected rival, but
but it would have you going through every team within 4 years.
That's pretty cool, though. I don't hate that.
Yeah, we haven't played Kentucky in like 3 years. We probably wouldn't play them for another like 2. I believe.
I think that you and I are kind of saying the same thing because, in my opinion, I'd want, if you're an Auburn fan, you'd want to protect. I know that this makes your schedule hard. It doesn't make it any harder. It's the same strength, in my opinion, as it was before. I think you want to keep Alabama, you want to keep Georgia, you want to keep LSU. Some people, I know that I heard Charlie 5 talking on the Locked On Auburn podcast the week, and he brought up a point that he doesn't care about rivalries. He cares about Auburn having the best road to the national championship, and that's completely fine. If that's what camp you're in, so be it. Personally, myself, I would not want to see Auburn rotated out where they wouldn't play the Iron Bowl every year, where they wouldn't play the Deep South's oldest rivalry every year, and that but that LSU Auburn rivalry is they're always wacky, fun games. In my opinion, I'd want to hold on to those. But if you're in a different boat, so be it. I mean, let us know in the comments, like on the YouTube channel. Tweet at us on Twitter. Let us know what you think, and we'll talk about it more if this is something you guys are interested in. What does it mean for Auburn, Dylan? And I think it presents challenges beyond the football field. Oh,
yeah, because Oklahoma brings in a very good softball program.
Correct.
And there's very few like sports I think Texas is bad at.
Correct. Football just happens to be one of them sometimes.
Yeah. They're still not back, by the way, if you didn't know that. They're breaking news, Texas is not back.
Right.
And Oklahoma's on their way out, football-wise. But sports-wise, Texas is a pretty decent basketball program. I think they're ranked in the top 15 last time I checked.
Yes. Texas spent some time in the top 5 this year.
Yeah, I think they were getting number 1 votes. Sure. And their both teams' baseball teams are pretty dang good, especially Texas. Right. I think Texas is like one of the blue bloods of baseball.
And then if you keep continuing on, Texas is always very good at the Olympic sports, your track and field, swimming. Texas is a perennial powerhouse. This is an uphill to answer the mailbag question, Dylan, in my opinion, and you chime in here at any moment. I think that it adds challenge, but it also adds resume across every sport. I think all in all, I think Oklahoma and Texas adding them to the SEC is a good thing, and I've kind of been in that boat ever since. You bring 2 programs that are some of the wealthiest programs in college football, not college football, but college sports in general, rather. And you add it to what is already, I mean, let's call a spade here, Dylan. The rich get richer, right? And we're kind of moving toward these super conferences. If you're going to go get programs, people get hung up on the fact that Texas and Oklahoma have not been national championship winning. Oklahoma's been contending, but not winning programs in the past decade, and so be it. I don't think that matters that much. I think that you bring them in and they automatically generate revenue in football, but in everything else, they're really bringing a lot to the table. And we know this. I think this is all in all, I think it's a positive. It presents a new challenge for sure, right? But I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, and if you look at other super conference moves, this one actually kind of fits geographically a little bit, a tad bit. Because if you compare it to like the Big Ten, bringing in USC and UCLA, that does not fit in at all with where they are.
Good additions, though. Very good additions to that.
Yeah, because at one point you're just trying to catch up with the SEC, and that's what everyone is trying to do at this point.
Right.
Because you bring in Texas and Oklahoma, and it's kind of hard for anyone to have a debate on what conference is best at what sports.
Right.
But I guess now the Big Ten has like rowing and like all the boat stuff.
That's kind of cool, actually.
But now we've had baseball, but now we've been strengthened with baseball.
Right.
Strengthened softball a lot.
Oh yeah, because that's a sport that needed it.
Yeah. So you tell me Auburn has to play Oklahoma again after the 2000, I think 16 CWS, which still breaks my heart. But yeah, and also with the permanent rivals, I've seen people trying to say Auburn should keep Mississippi State.
Yeah, weird one. I don't even want to go there.
I saw a lot of that for it. It was like weird.
I think that's an older generation thing, and that's okay. I'm not throwing shade. Respect
bring back Tulane.
Right, exactly. I'm not throwing shade. Whatever you feel like is the best solution. And I'm not speaking to the viewers, Dylan. I'll tell you, you're wrong in a heartbeat. You know that. But whatever you feel like is what you want is what you want. I personally, I'm kind of indifferent on the matter as long as it's handled in a logistical way that makes sense. And you want to keep your protected rivals, and I don't think the SEC wants to throw them out. I mean, just let's be honest here. The Iron Bowl is probably the single most profitable game in college football for the regular season.
Well, it's the best rivalry in college sports in general.
Well, sure. Yes.
Name a rivalry that goes deeper than just football.
Probably more than you think, but I would agree with you. Speaking of, I guess a rivalry that's really been heating up on the hardwood. We talked a little bit earlier in the week, or we talked in depth earlier in the week about Auburn's display against Alabama, how they needed to get back on the hardwood. Men's basketball, Bruce Pearl, the boys had to get right, and they did. In theory, knock on wood, we'll see where this takes them. Auburn blew out Mizzou. I mean, beat the brakes off Mizzou, 89-56. And just an emphatic victory. Hello, KD Johnson, 15 points coming off the bench. I know you're going to talk bench points here in a second. We talked a little bit about it on the Auburn Daily as well. I don't want to sound like this is a repost of the Auburn Daily. It's not. Very different shows. Make sure you listen to them both. But there were a lot of high points here, Dylan, and something that Auburn can really buckle down and build off of, especially when, this is going to be our last show before Saturday's matchup in Nashville at Vanderbilt. Kind of walk me through where you're at mentally right now and where Auburn fans should be at mentally with what's going on with Auburn men's basketball.
I'm hesitant.
Sure.
Because as a longtime Auburn fan, whenever I see a game like this where I'm like, oh, maybe Auburn could build off of this, I am very quickly heartbroken back to where we were 5 games ago. Because if you look back, we beat the brakes off of Georgia for lack of a better term, and we all sat down happily and said, oh, this is going to be used as a building block to become the hottest team in the country going into the SEC and NCAA tournament, not tournament.
Yeah, it's okay. I know what you meant.
But and I've received several Snapchats from Harrison Tarr saying that he is getting ready to buy Final Four tickets. So you don't have proof of that? I'm going to be the level-headed individual and say that I'm very hesitant to believe that this is the Auburn team we're going to be seeing down the road. I would love for it to be, and I hope that you are true in your sunshine pumping, but I'm here to pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, I was very impressed with the win. Very impressed. I don't think I could speak how highly I was impressed by the fact that Auburn won this game by 33 points. That's absolutely. But going on Saturday, going to Nashville, that is not a very easy place to win.
Vanderbilt's playing as well as anyone right now, Dylan.
They are also a very hot team. If you missed out on the fact that they beat Tennessee, who is right now beating the number 1 team in the country by 4 points as we were recording this, is 44-40 with 12:37 left in the game. They beat that team that Auburn couldn't beat. And I get it was at home, but it's still beating Tennessee. So
for sure. Absolutely.
I am on board with going like maybe this could be used and maybe this is Auburn heating up at the right time. But again, I'm just sitting there like, can they keep it up?
I'm going to spin zone while I go ahead and start talking a little bit about the Vanderbilt game, if that's okay with you, Dylan. I am going to sunshine pump a little bit, and let me tell you why I think this is a little justified. We've watched the trend of KD Johnson, and this is going to be your buzzword for the show, and it was our buzzword earlier today on the Auburn Daily Show. We have a little more time to talk here, which is nice, but KD Johnson's late resurgence and his emergence out of seemingly nowhere, I mean, it's almost like a resurrection, really. Truth be told, I was actually on the phone with my mom earlier today, and she asked me straight up. She said, "Harrison, I need you to tell me, where did KD Johnson come from? Because I think he's been really bad all year." I was like, "Mom, you are not wrong. You are very much correct. And you have a great point." And then I started sunshine pumping Auburn basketball to my mom. So she was having a great time with that. But you're starting to see all these pieces come together. Now, there's a major red flag that I'm going to go ahead and point out. I don't think Janai Brim's 100% healthy. We saw him go down twice in the big time win over Missouri. I was a little confused, not throwing shade at BP, a little confused why he was even in the game the second time. I know you want to get your reps, and you drop 20 points. And if he's dropping 20 points when he's playing banged up, I'm not worried about it. Auburn fans shouldn't be. But that's a reason for moderate concern coming down the stretch. I thought the guards played really well against Missouri, and if they can play like that in the emergence, and like I said, resurgence of KD Johnson, being able to add his defense is back. His contested shot making is back, and it has trended that way over the past 5 games. And Trey Donaldson's getting in there. Yeah, he's not a scorer, but he's a good facilitator, good ball handler, and he presents this opportunity where he can play the 1 and let Wendell Green play the 2 a little bit, and vice versa, obviously. And it's getting Wendell Green some help. You brought up a point earlier today that Wendell Green scored 5 and Auburn won by 33. That is a big time moment. Dylan Cardwell reverted back to that early season form we saw of Dylan Cardwell last night. It looked, or I guess Tuesday night rather now, but it looked like the pieces are coming together. And I mean, shoot, Leor Berman, man. I'm not even just, this is not me just, fanboying over Leor Berman. He's become a rotational piece in this team. I mean, I think he probably has equal minutes with Chris Moore now. And his defense has progressed. He is a threat from the perimeter. He is a knockdown shooter, and teams are having to respect that. And he doesn't get the looks as much, but that's neither here nor there. The pieces are there. And you want to say that if Auburn can go take care of business in Vanderbilt on Saturday against Jerry Stackhouse and company, you want to start thinking that maybe this is the beginning of something that could be special. So that's where I am. Where are you at? What does Auburn have to do to prove to you? And this is not me being accusational, Dylan. You know what I'm just asking. What does Auburn have to do to prove to you that this team can bring it back in and get hot at the right time?
So Auburn won by how many points again?
33.
33 points. So Auburn got that 33 points from a certain part of their team, which was the bench. If you look at the box score, Dylan Cardwell, 8 points. Trey Donaldson got 2 points off of a very monstrous dunk. Leor Berman, 8 points, and KD Johnson got 15 points. If I can see that for this next game and the Ole Miss game, because I think they go back-to-back like that, right? It goes Vandy,
Right.
Ole Miss.
Yes.
If I set back-to-back, I will feel very confident in this team, but I need to see more points from the bench like I saw last night.
That's completely fair.
If you can't have reliable scoring off the bench, then that's just going to kill you as a team. If you can't, if your bench members can't score for your starters, then I mean, we see it all the time with Gonzaga. Gonzaga does not have that reliable scoring off the bench, and that's why they never make it far in the tournament, even though they're always one of those top 5 seeds.
Completely agree. And I think that's very fair. I'm glad we're kind of balancing out here. You're kind of bringing it back down to earth. But I do think it's important that there are good things that this team is doing right now. And truth be told, I mean, outside of, we've even said this coming down these last, losers of what was it, 5 of 6, right? 5 of 6 up until this point. And we still pointed out there were a lot of things Auburn was doing right. You played 40 minutes of basketball on Tuesday night. You got to keep playing 40 minutes of basketball going forward. Bruce Pearl, I mean, in the early going, it looked like this team had a plan. Their defensive set, he ran set plays. He mixed up his defensive schemes throughout the game. It looked like there was a plan. There's a lot of good things going on there, and Auburn fans should be actually very excited with Saturday's clash with a Vanderbilt team who, as we mentioned before, is playing as good at basketball as anybody in the country right now. And I know that's hard to wrap your brain around, but let's keep this thing on the road here, Dylan. Let's jump to a little mailbag question. We're going to pop out, pop back in. Had a really fun one. We finally got asked about barbecue. Billy Ferris asked on Twitter, asked us what the best type of barbecue was. He said Texas barbecue, Kansas City barbecue, North Carolina. You said you were probably going to take a little different route. I'll go and answer this. I'm a Carolina Q guy. Vinegar base, give it to me, baby. But I've never met brisket and I've never met pulled pork that I don't like. So what you're going into a barbecue shop, Dylan? What you getting?
I'm a certified big boy, so I like all kinds of barbecue. I don't think there's really a favorite. You just kind of put 2 buns on it, put some barbecue sauce, and I'm all good. Give me a pulled pork sandwich.
Pulled pork sandwich, and got it, but you got to have sauce, right?
Got to have barbecue sauce. Got to have pickles.
There you go, pickles.
Pickles are a mainstay.
What side goes with your barbecue?
Ooh, that's a good one. Probably barbecue chips, really.
Really?
I like the side of barbecue chips. I know you're probably gonna say potato salad.
I'm actually going to say I'm a hash brown casserole kind of guy.
Ooh, I do love a good hash brown casserole.
You know what I'm saying? So, all right. The important questions are being asked. Thank you, Billy Ferris, for that one. I know that you want to come and join on. Let's talk a little more hardwood hoops and roll our way through this, Dylan. Don't want to take too much time. Women's basketball, very, very big opportunity tonight as this show comes out. Very winnable game against a 6-16 team in Texas A&M. Auburn women's basketball is back at full strength, Dylan. And get this. Auburn wins tonight. They're guaranteed at least a 500 regular season for the first time since 2018 and 2019. Is Coach J her or is Coach J her?
I believe Coach J is her. I believe that's the answer to that question.
What a big opportunity and what a quick turnaround this could be if Auburn's able to secure. They just got to win one of their last, I believe, 4 games on the slate. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there are 4 games remaining in the women's basketball regular season. This team could make a little bit of noise in the SEC tournament. Aisha Coulibaly should be back to full minutes. Precious Johnson should be back to full minutes. A lot of exciting stuff going on for women's hoops, and that is at home against Texas A&M on Sunday. Sorry, not on Sunday, Thursday night, and then they will play again on Sunday against, I believe.
They play Tennessee. There goes A&M, Tennessee. Oh, so at Tennessee, at Georgia, and Vanderbilt.
Right. Okay. I couldn't remember if it was Tennessee or Georgia next. So thank you for refreshing me there.
Yeah,
Another road test this weekend on Sunday. Auburn Gymnastics matinee showdown. Number 16 Missouri. Dylan, you hype?
I'm always hyped for gymnastics, Tarr. I'm always hyped.
It's impossible to not be. It's impossible to not be.
Because I know whenever I sit down, I'm going to be able to listen to God Save the Queen, and I'm going to watch Suni Lee literally do anything. Literally anything Suni Lee does is perfect. And we've seen that because she has 9 perfect 10s. She got 1 in her last meet. So I am beyond hyped up to see yet another perfect 10 on Sunday.
I think Auburn fans should be very excited about this. I mentioned Daniel Locke, who will be with us here shortly when we bring on our special guest this after today for, I guess I would have said this afternoon. It is definitely coming out in the morning. Hello, good afternoon, happy morning, good night, wherever you're at, wherever you're listening to this. When he comes on with one Michael Floyd, Auburn Jungle Vice President, who's coming up very, very soon on the show. He was going to mention this, but he had to study for a test. Totally understood. Academics come first. I'll talk about this for a second here. Very, very important for Auburn to kind of get themselves right on vault. They've been kind of, I mean, they're top 10. I know they're top 10 in the country on vault, but they've not really been where I think Jeff Graba and company would like to be. And they had a great showing on beam last week, the best showing of the year on floor. Bars is just not going to be a problem all year long. If you can get right on vault, you got to feel pretty good about your opportunity to win a national championship on the Plains this year.
You know how crazy it is that we're sitting here like, well, I wish we were a little bit better at vault or literally anything, and we're top 10 in the country in it. That is crazy to think about how like great Auburn is at gymnastics.
Yeah, it's bonkers what Jeff Graba and Suni Shali and Darion Goborn and all these people that laid the foundation. What they
just go down the entire roster: Sophia
Groff,
Stevens, Olivia Hollingsworth, everyone.
The list goes on and
Sarah
on
Hubbard.
And on. Another group on the up and up. Let's keep moving here. Let's talk a little Auburn softball for just a minute here, Dylan. Tiger Invitational this weekend. You've got 2 games with Austin Peay, 2 games with Villanova, 1 game with Dayton. And how important is it for Auburn to keep the ball rolling here after a very, very solid start in their first showing this in 2023?
All right. Well, we saw the fact that Auburn had 6 home runs in 5 games without a single Bree bomb. And I don't think Austin Peay is all that great at any sport, really. So I would love to see. I think we said choosing like a little bit of a slump start of the season, but I don't think that's like surprising because a lot of people start off with slumps at the beginning of the season,
especially power hitters.
Yes. So I would love to see Bree to kind of like wake up a little bit, get out of the slump. She's already one of the greatest hitters in softball history.
Right.
Ever, like ever, NCAA history, already the best. So I think it's very important that she finally gets up on the scoreboard. I know I think she has a couple of runs, but she has a few RBIs as well. So she's hitting the ball. I just wanted to see her knock one off the eagle again. That's all I'm looking for.
She gets to get back to Jamie Moore this weekend and get that opportunity to do so. And I do want to talk a little bit about players to watch this weekend, just really quickly. Michaela Packers as a given, Aspen Godwin. I'm also looking at Bree Ellis and Denver Bryant this weekend, kind of to really get back to that form. It's early, man. Those early non-conference tournaments can feel like a grind, and you're just like, oh, why am I doing this? And I get it. I understand. As fans, sometimes we fall into that too, right?
Well, Aspen Godwin hasn't been near the slump.
No, that's why I was talking about Bree in Denver. Now, Aspen Godwin's one you watch because she is not in that funk.
She has woken up, if you will. She is woke. She is cranking that ball well over any fence because she already had a grand slam, I believe, in the second game of the season.
Right.
So a walk-off grand salami, if you will, is what she had. So
I couldn't agree more. I just thought it was important that we talk for just a second about people to watch, and obviously you're looking at your Carly McConaughey's, we almost forgot Nelia Peralta, and your Lindsey Garcia's. You're ready for Bree in Denver to get back to be doing what Bree in Denver do, and that's coming. Don't worry, no need to panic. Just something to keep an eye on, and something that everyone should be excited for going into opening day. One other mailbag question real quick from Noah Phillips before we jump to baseball, which should only just take a couple minutes here, Dylan. Noah Phillips asked, who will win the Daytona 500, and who will be the one that was leading but got wrecked on the last lap? Ross Chastain's getting wrecked on the last lap. That's a given. I had Chase Briscoe as my answer to win the Daytona 500.
Of course you did.
I really did. It makes sense for this to be the year. It's kind of a toss up, and Briscoe ran some really good races late in the year last year.
Yeah, he did, and I watched him wrecking every single one of them. So. I wanted to get on NASCAR, so I picked the driver. Loved the Briscoe car, so I was like, let's go and Chase Briscoe. Yeah, that was. I still have the hat, so I'm still a fan. But good Lord, man, please.
Images that precede unfortunate events.
Let's go for less wrecks this year. Let's go, Briscoe.
Images that don't precede unfortunate events more than likely is the Auburn baseball game day graphic that will be coming out Friday morning. Opening day is here. Auburn baseball is here. If you didn't get a chance to check out our interview with Locked On MLB prospects and Auburn Daily baseball writer Lindsey Crosby, make sure you just go and pause this where you're at right now, run it back, go jump to the last episode, go check that out. Best breakdown of Auburn baseball. You won't find a better one than that guy right there.
It's the last 25 minutes if you just like to listen to Lindsey Crosby talk, because I wouldn't blame you one bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to it twice, and that's not even an exaggeration. He's so intelligent. Friday's game was flexed due to cold weather, so props to Auburn for actually making sure people come out to the game. Dylan, real quick, importance of playing Power 5 opponents in the non-conference. Go.
It really helps your RPI.
Yep.
Really helps it. And I think you got next week, you got USC. You go to Los Angeles, so that's going to be a very, very nice weekend, vacation-wise. But I'm going to be a little vacation for the collegiate athletes. But It really helps that the scheduling, and especially if Auburn's as good as we think they can be, and that they will be, I think it really helps. And Auburn could be back ranked in the top 15 very soon.
I agree 100%. Non-conference scheduling matters. Your RPI matters, especially for a team that wants to jockey for Omaha this year, despite being criminally underrated and underpicked and underrepresented. Dylan, it's about time. Let's bring in Michael Floyd, Auburn Jungle Vice President, and Daniel Locke will join us. So let's hop over to that interview and welcome Michael Floyd onto the show. Yes, it is now my pleasure to bring Michael Floyd, Vice President of the Auburn Jungle, onto the show. And now Daniel Locke's with us. I hope you've been studying for your math test, Daniel. Otherwise, I'm going to come kick your rear end. We put academics first here. We are an academic institution. Michael, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thank y'all for having me. Such an honor to come on tonight.
Hey, man, we are excited to have you on. You've done a lot of great things for the Auburn community, for the university, and we couldn't be more honored to have you on the show. And we're gonna don't worry, we're gonna pick your brain on all of it too. So that's what we're here for. Basically, the way we do this, the way we do it here on the Loop. I don't know how familiar you are we do a Q&A panel with some guests. Sometimes Will Cruz will come on and run his mouth during all the segments, and we let him do it. It's fine. I hope he's listening. I really hope he is. But typically we have a Q&A panel for folks that we really want to pick their brains and your impact on the university and on the Auburn community is so strong. There's so much we wanted to talk to you about, and it really begins with the jungle. Boys, I'm going to open it up, and then after Michael answers, I'll let the floor be to y'all. I know Daniel laid dibs on a couple things he wanted to talk about, which is great. We've got we had a whole brainstorm session on you, Michael. Hope you're flattered by that. But let me just start with the jungle. Let's talk about your baby, your pride and joy, and something that you've been a part of. I assume that since you've been at Auburn, correct?
Correct.
Excellent. So beyond just the basketball student section, man, we know it is one of the premier home court advantages in college basketball. But when you look beyond just the basketball student section, what is the jungle? What does the jungle stand for, and what does it do for the university?
Well, that is a great question. Once again, thank you guys for having me on there. I found it, I consider it a great joy and a blessing to always come on and talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is the jungle. I tell people all the time, if you would have told me that a young black man from good old Bruton, Alabama, which is just an hour north of Mobile, Alabama, would come to Auburn and make the impact that he is, I would have told you, you're out of your ever-loving mind. There's no way I'm going to go on that campus and I'm going to do what I need to do, get out of here in 5 years or less, and we're just going to do it. But the jungle is just something that rivals anything in the country. And I think this interview lines up at a great time because today, one of the big college athletics media personalities on Twitter named the greatest duo in all of college sports of basketball and football,
Big game boomer,
Jordan-Hare Stadium and Neville Arena, as #1 in the country. And I think that speaks to what the jungle is. The jungle is a group of students. I want to consider everybody the jungle. Alumni fans, if you have a ticket and you show up, you're a part of the jungle. Well, the jungle is just something that brings passion to Jordan-Hare Stadium, Neville Arena, Plainsman Park, J.B. Moore Field, the Aquatic Center. I mean, it's just something that we find great joy in, great pride in, that it doesn't matter if you had a bad day, a long week. There's just a lot of turmoil in your life going on. You can come to the jungle and release all that stress, especially against an opponent like Alabama or Tennessee or LSU. Doesn't matter. But the jungle goes well beyond basketball, like you said. And it's a place where students can support our fellow student athletes by creating one of the most hostile environments in all of college athletics.
I think that's a great answer, the perfect answer, and you summed it up better than I ever could. I wasn't on the staff, but I while I was in school, I hope that at least I made my presence known. I appreciated everything you guys did.
Look, you were a part of the first ever court storming for women's basketball. Man.
I was.
Never forget that.
I was too. Let's not forget.
I'm telling you, and that's also something, and I hate to interrupt, but that's also something that it gets lost. Like for that women's basketball game against Tennessee, we see people court storm when men's basketball team beat Kentucky for the first time under Bruce Pearl. We've seen the court storm when Auburn has beaten Alabama in Gymnastics Stadium. But a women's basketball team has never seen a court storm in Auburn history, and I believe, and that is something that we're there to create memories for those student athletes, to show them that we love and appreciate them just as much as we love our men during football and men's basketball.
I think that's a pretty good preview of what I know Daniel's got lined up for you a little later in this interview. I do want to ask you, where does your passion come from, Michael? Because I mean, there are people, I mean, all over the Auburn community that goes, wait, you know Michael Floyd? Like I've seen that guy everywhere, and you think I'm exaggerating? Dylan and Daniel can attest. I've told everyone, I was like, Michael, what? I give him a big old hug every time I see him in the jungle. And where does your passion stem from? Because it could not have. I mean, if it sparked when you got to Auburn, great. But there has to be something, and it goes deeper into your character that makes you so passionate about showing support for these student athletes and giving a great environment for your fellow students.
You know, if you ever have a conversation with anybody that knows me, they're going to tell you that if it's a 30-second conversation, it's a 5-minute conversation, it's a 30-minute conversation, if it's an hour conversation, Michael Floyd is going to bring up his hometown of Bruton, Alabama in the conversation. And I am a proud resident when I go home of Bruton, Alabama, born and raised there. And I'm also a graduate of Tarr High School, which happens to be home to the winningest football program in the state of Alabama. And I say that with great pride and passion. That's where it stems from. When I was back home enrolled at Tarr High School, I didn't play sports. Playing sports was not my cup of tea. But I knew I love sports. I love being around sports. So I became a manager, or a fancy word for a water boy. But I was the water boy for football, men's and boys and girls basketball, track and field. And then I became the PA announcer for our basketball team, PA announcer for our baseball team, and PA announcer for our swim team, PA announcer for our track and field team. It's just something that grew and started right there at Tarr High School. I was the president of our pep club, as we called it, my senior year in high school. But the same thing I'm doing now here at Auburn, I did back in Bruton. Getting our fans, getting our students excited for our big rivalry game, which is called the Battle of Murder Creek. It's between two schools.
That is an awesome name.
It's between T.R. Miller and W.S. Neal High School. The schools sit less than 5 miles apart, and they're divided by a creek called Murder. And at the end, on Halloween week, we meet together on the football field and we battle it out. It's these people that we go to church with, we're family members with, we go to court with. It doesn't matter. We are together until that 1 week of the year in football, basketball, or baseball, whatever it may be. But getting our students and fans ready for that, getting our students and fans ready for our basketball games. We have one of the winningest girls basketball programs in the state as well, led by Hall of Famer Coach Ron Jackson. And his team went to the championship, I think, 3 of my 4 years in high school. Getting people to go to Birmingham, Alabama to support our girls. That's where it started from. I used to tell people playing sports was never for me, but giving back to the sports industry, being a water boy, is something that just grew my passion for sports. And when I got to Auburn, I was so blessed to carry it out.
A hell of a story and a hell of a rivalry name, all built and born in Bruton, Alabama. Guys, that is pretty damn cool. Dylan, Daniel, I'm going to open the floor. I know I've been hogging Michael. I'm sorry. And I'm opening up the floor to you guys. Daniel, I know you had a couple of big ones. Dylan, you guys can rock, paper, scissors, fist fight it out with whoever you got to do, whoever's going to go first. I'm going to open up the floor and don't worry, Michael, I'm not done with you. I'm going to share. Sharing is caring. So guys, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I typically go look it up because the Battle of Murder Creek was voted one of the top rivalry names in the state of Alabama.
That was.
I just had to. I got to look it up. I was like, that rivals a lot of college football rivalry names. But I guess just to keep the rivalry in and of itself going, how's the jungle different from other student sections like the Cameron Crazies?
Well, you tell the Cameron Crazies that they're crazy to think that they can match the jungle. I think that what has been built here at Auburn, and here's the thing that sets the jungle apart. I don't think the Cameron Crazies are just for basketball. I don't think they're called the Cameron Crazies for their football team. But the jungle is consistent. We're in every one of our sports, and we show the same intensity we bring to a basketball game. We take it to a football game. We take it to a women's basketball game. We take it to a baseball game or a softball game. That's what sets the jungle apart. Yes, we hear about the Blue Bloods. We hear about North Carolina. We hear about Kentucky. But you got to watch out for us new bloods at Auburn, the jungle. We're coming. We're taking over the college landscape. And we're not going to do it easy. We're taking it by force.
I love it.
Gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the Cameron Crazy name. If they're elephants, I guess the Safari could have been a good one. But Cameron Crazy is a little boring in my eyes. But that's just
hey. I think the Coleman it should be like the Coleman airplane hangers, but that's just me. If we're gonna go there, Daniel, I know you've got. Crew. What'd you say?
The flight crew.
The flight crew. There you go. There you go.
I like that one.
Alabama, I've got an idea for you.
The TSAs.
Now, Floyd. Now you mentioned women's hoops. Daniel had, and he brought up a great point about your passion. And Daniel, I'm going to let you go because this is all you, my man.
Yeah. So Floyd, I've had the pleasure of working with you this year and really getting to know you. And one thing we're passionate here at the College Loop about is bringing awareness and shining a light on women's sports. And that's something that you've really motivated me to start like going out and doing and just really promoting win women's basketball or softball, and like gymnastics doesn't need it. People show up for
True.
that. But these other sports, it's something that's important to me. It's something that's important to Harrison and Dylan, and I learned it from you. So where did I have two questions kind of baked into this one. A, where did your passion for that come from? And B, what are the best ways to get fans and students out to go support the women's teams?
Those are both great questions, Daniel. And before I start, thank you, sir. Daniel is a leader on the Jungle leadership staff, and I have the pleasure of working with Daniel. Daniel sees my good side. He sees my bad side. I think he sees more of my bad side than my good side. But Daniel is a person that I hold in the utmost regard, and I want to take his platform and acknowledge him for the hard work that he does.
Now, Michael, you didn't have to lie to us. We already wanted you on the show.
I just wanted to take time and appreciate what he does as Tennessee gets ready to take down the Alabama Crimson Tide. Imagine being ranked number one for only one day and losing. Couldn't be Auburn. Couldn't be Auburn. We were ranked for a whole month at number one. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. But to answer your question, Daniel, it goes back to what Harrison had asked me earlier. Came to Cameron High School, supporting our girls basketball team, supporting our softball team, supporting our girls track and field team, supporting our girls cross country team. I was there, and I think, and I don't like to get into the weeds and through this and the politics of it all. But I think in the world of women athletics, that the women deserve the same support as the men get. Even though we might not see it through pay, even though we might not see it through facilities, even though we might not see it through crowd attendance, they deserve the same support that our men do. And to bring it back to Auburn, if you look up in the rafters, our women's basketball team has more Final Four appearances than our men's. Ooh. Just saying. But that is not a knock towards our men's basketball team. I support them all.
Hey, Dylan, get BP on the line.
BP loves it. And I think even BP will even acknowledge that, our women's basketball team is a storied program. What Joe Champy built here, what Neil Fortner did here, what Coach Flo did here briefly here. And I think Coach Jay is the right person to right the ship, as she has been to the Final Four. She knows how to rebuild programs. But that's how my passion started. And what can we do? Well, obviously, if you win, they'll show up. And I think this women's basketball program is starting to get those wins. Last year, they had a win over number 5 Tennessee, and I think number 20 Georgia, I believe, at the time. And they also beat the ranked Georgia Tech on the road. This year, they don't have a ranked win, but they have won more SEC games than they have in the past. They won more regular season games so far than they have in the past. So it's not about getting to the end so early. It takes steps. If you ask Bruce Pearl what he did when he got here, he won. He took it year by year. It all didn't happen in year 1. It all didn't happen in year 2. Heck, it didn't even happen all in year 3. But as he continued to go on, you saw the progress. And I think if we give Coach Harris time, the progress and the results will show up. And I think we just got to show up. I think women's basketball is a great sport to attend, because I think the referees hear me more during a women's basketball game than do a men's basketball game. And I be giving it to them. I be giving it to them.
You do.
I just want to give out a big old Rocky Top. My bad. Didn't want to do that again, but I just have to. But I just think if we invest, and I think here's the thing, and I'm going to wrap this up. And I think my chair just broke, so I got to hold myself up while I'm going to fall on the show. So I think if we just look at the mantra Auburn family, women's basketball is a part of the Auburn family. Gymnastics is a part of the Auburn family. Softball is a part of the Auburn family. Look at our softball team. Look at the success they've had since 2010. They've been winning SEC tournaments, SEC regular season. They've been making trips to the Women's College World Series in OKC. Our women's programs here at Auburn have success in the past. I mean, go to our aquatic center. Look what our women's swim team has done. But I just think we have to invest in it, and that's financially, that's through attendance, that's through facilities, and I'm blessed to say, when Auburn builds this basketball only facility in the future, that even though it's intended to help our men's basketball program, it also is going to pay dividends for our women's basketball program as well. And I think Auburn is, slowly getting there. And I hate to talk about another school, but I just have to because I'm a huge Dawn Staley fan. Look at what
So are
you
we.
see in Columbia, South Carolina when they played LSU this past week. 18,000 strong. And when those girls make it to the NBA, they're going to be making less than the lowest draft pick in the NBA draft. I mean, that's just the harsh reality of it. But I think once we get to that level, you'll see great environments like we did in Colonial Life Arena last week.
And you can't shortchange what Kim Mulkey's done at LSU.
That's right. That's right.
I couldn't agree more with you, Michael. We are, and I don't mean to sound like we are holier than anyone, because we are certainly not. But this group of everybody in this call right now and on this podcast at this moment, I'd like to think that we are all on the side that we want to bring that positive light to women's sports. Specifically, women's basketball has been a passion of mine since I first came on the beat. Right. It was my first assignment, and I was scared crapless.
Right.
Yeah, and I got to know Coach Flo quite well, and then Coach Jay showed up when I was coaching an intramural women's basketball team. She's just that kind of person, and. Right. I kind of want to tie this back. You're talking about the Auburn family, Michael. When I think of the Auburn creed, I know this is so whatever. If you want to call me cringe, whatever. I'm very, very proud of my alma mater, and I always will be. When I think of somebody that embodies that the Auburn creed, it's hard to not think of Michael Floyd, and I mean that sincerely. What does the Auburn family mean in terms of how does this all tie together? Because this all encompasses goes beyond the jungle, right? And you were talking about everyone that's in that stands and watching at home on TV. You're part of this family. What does this mean in terms of what does the Auburn family mean in terms of development and pouring support into the athletics at Auburn?
That's a great question. Gosh, y'all are really boosting my head up on this show. Oh my goodness. But I'm humbled. I'm grateful. Thank you guys so much for the kind words. Before I go on, I really neglected our equestrian team. I cannot forget about Coach Greg Williams and Auburn equestrian team. That team is that is one of our women's sports that have consistently brought SEC and national championships to Auburn University. The Auburn family, the Auburn tree. There you don't hear the Alabama family. You don't hear the Georgia family. Brian Kelly called it the LSU family, but I don't think that considers what we have here at Auburn. It is something unique. It is something that is often imitated, but it fails. But the Auburn family goes back to something that it doesn't matter if our football team is 3-5. We're still going to come to Jordan Hare Stadium. We're going to sell it out, and we're going to pack the place like we're playing for a spot in the SEC championship in Atlanta. The Auburn family is filling Neville Arena where we're unranked, and the number 3 team in the country comes, and we're going to fill it up, be loud, be proud the entire time. The Auburn family is showing up to Plainsman Park when we're hosting a regional for the first time in forever, and we're going to fill up for every one of our games and create an atmosphere. That is the Auburn family. The Auburn family is giving back to the community that which we serve. And I go all the way back to when the tornadoes hit the Beauregard community. The Auburn family poured in and helped Beauregard. That is the Auburn family. Outlive is the Auburn family, where people give to support the fight against cancer. Cancer affects a lot of people in our lives, and I'm pretty sure each one of us on this show knows somebody who has lost their battle or is currently fighting or has survived cancer. That is the Auburn family. The Auburn family is unique, and I'm going to tell you why the Auburn family is unique. The Auburn family can be 3 things to you. 3 things. It can be your greatest enemy, because when you mess up, they're going to let you know. They're going to tweet about you. They're going to post on Facebook about you. They are going to let you know when they are mad at you. They're going to let you know. We're very vocal people. You've ever met an Auburn fan, we're very vocal. If I was Bruce, I would bench so-and-so and play so-and-so. If I was Coach Freeze, I would not start so-and-so at this position. I'll start so-and-so. We will let you know our opinions Whether you hear them or not, we're going to let you know. All right. 2, we're going to love you. We're going to love you. I've never seen the outpour of love that I have this past football season. Looking at all that our football team had went through, the love for that program was still loud and proud. It was still adamant, and you saw with people showing up. I was in Starkville for Cadillac's first ever game as an interim head football coach, and the number of Auburn fans there was amazing. Even at halftime, we were down by I don't know how much at halftime in Starkville, but the number of Auburn fans that stayed, and they were very rewarded for that comeback to force overtime. And even though we lost, we were still proud because at the end of the day, it's always great to be an Auburn Tiger. And the third thing, when you need the Auburn family is there for you. So you're gonna get support, you're gonna get love, you're gonna get criticism, but it's not sometimes it's harsh criticism. There are a few bad apples in the bunch.
Tough love.
But tough love. You're gonna get those 3 things from the Auburn family. And that's what sets us apart from the rest. I tell people all the time, I applied for Troy. I applied at Alabama. I applied for most in-state schools. But it was just something special when I got that offer from Auburn University. And here's the thing, you don't have to get a degree from this institution to be an Auburn man or woman. I look at my mom all day, every day. I'm a first-generation college student, but my mom, she's the example of the creed that I strive for. She has nothing has been given to her. She works. She believes in work. She believes in hard work. She believes in obedience. She believes in the human touch. And because she believes in those things, she believes in Auburn, and she loves it. And she doesn't have a degree from this institution, but that does not stop her from being an Auburn woman.
I'm sorry, I'm a little speechless right now. I'm trying to awkwardly fill space here. You talked about giving back to your community, Michael, and what all that means, and in the Auburn family, their outpouring of support. Daniel had a pretty good question for you about the Auburn community and recognizing you for what you've done.
Okay, I was making sure I wasn't muted. Sorry, I'm a little speechless as well. Michael has a tendency to do that. He just stepped away with words. So back in November, you were recognized by Mayor Ron Honors with the key to the city. What did that mean to you? How did that feel? And just tell me about that.
Daniel, I'm going to be honest with you. I was really, really, really upset. I was upset. And I'm going to tell you why I was upset, Daniel. Because I was totally off guard. So what I received is the Mayor's Lamplighter Award. It's the equivalent to the key of the city, but it's a Mayor's Lamplighter Award. And he gives it to 6 individuals who make an impact in the community of Auburn. So I get there the whole day. So he used my pastor to pull this one on me, and I'm not happy that my pastor, a God-fearing, honest man, a pastor is supposed to be honest and be truthful, but he was not truthful. He was not truthful at all. I mean, that's a sin. That's a sin. You got to tell the truth. Shout out to Pastor Wren. I love Pastor Wren, my Auburn pastor here. But so I was going to the Auburn women's basketball game against Georgia Tech. But I had already had planned to go to the mayor's address at the Gould Performing Arts Center in Uptown Auburn. I guess you would call that on South College. And my pastor said, "Hey, I want to come pick you up." I'm like, "No, you ain't got to pick me up. I'm going to go because I'm leaving early to go to the women's basketball game against Georgia Tech." And he just kept on, I guess, pestering me. He said, no, I want to come pick you up. I said, okay, come pick me up. So he picks me up, and we get there. We're having a normal conversation. And we get there. The mayor gives his update on the city. And then he starts introducing the 6 individuals. All right, so he gets to the first 3. And then I was the 4th one. So his 4th introduction, the only thing I heard was, "Born in Bruton." And I said, "You have got to be kidding me." I said, "I know good T doggone well he is not about to talk about me." And I looked to my left and then my right. I'm bad with directions. I looked to my right, and there was Pastor Wren just smiling. I'm like, "Did you know about this?" He wouldn't say a word to me. I'm like, "You got to be kidding me. I'm not dressed right. I'm trying to get to the women's basketball game. I'm already late. I'm going to miss tip-off. So, like, what are we doing? But it calls my name, and I go up there and I accept the award. And I was upset in the moment because I don't like surprises. I'm not a big surprise person. But I got up there and just I was blessed. I was honored to be the first ever current Auburn student to ever receive a Mayor Flintline Award. There has been great students before me. There's going to be great students after me, but for me to be the first enrolled Auburn student to receive that award, I wanted to come to Auburn and make history. Didn't know how that was going to happen, but I've made history, and I'm continuing to make history. But that award, it meant a lot to me, Daniel, and that reward is not something to mark that I'm done, but it's an award that marks that, hey, there's still plenty of work to be left to do. There's plenty of work to do. And I've barely even scratched the surface. Auburn is home. I've already told my mom, I've told my dad, I've told all my folks, when I graduate, I'm staying here in Auburn. My calling is in Auburn. My purpose is in Auburn. I want to be a blessing in Auburn. And that Lamplighter Award just signifies that, hey, your work is in Auburn. It's not done yet. And I'm a firm believer in leaving Auburn better than I found it. Auburn was already great when I got here, but there's a reason why it can be greater when I leave here.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm still trying to process everything that I'm coming in. Michael, we appreciate you for coming on today, and we've enjoyed it. I've got one last question for you. This should be the easiest one, and then the one that's going to require at least amount of thought. So by my math, Auburn's got 7, 8, 9, at least 9 events I can think of this weekend. Off the top of my head. So Auburn going 9-0 this weekend?
We are going 9-0 this weekend. I mean, first of all, I have to say kudos to Auburn men's basketball for getting it done against Missouri. I think we saw something that we have been missing in the month of February. I think we saw a team that we wanted to see earlier this year. But here's the thing. The last time we beat a SEC opponent by 30 plus was Missouri in 2019.
Hey, what did that team do?
And they went to the freaking Final Four. That's all I'm saying. The last time an Auburn basketball team was on the bubble was 2019, and they went to the freaking Final Four. I'm just saying. But I will tell you this. I'm going to give you this. I love giving hot takes. If KD Johnson can find his consistency, and if we see that KD Johnson for the rest of the season, Auburn, they're going to the Elite Eight.
I don't disagree. And congratulations. The way that Dylan just gave that reaction, that means you just found yourself on the College Loop quote grid. So
you're getting your own quote graphic.
That's big time. That's big time. Actually, I rechecked my math, by the way. I think it's 10 events if you count gymnastics. So 10-0?
10-0.
10-0.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you something. And if you want to quote me this, please do. I think Auburn is in the best position it has been in years. The alignment between President Roberts, Athletic Director Cohen, and all of our sports head coaches. This year it's a bumpy year so far. Baseball still has yet to play, but I believe they're going to have a solid season. They could end up back in Omaha, but I think the years to come will be years to watch out for the Auburn Tigers.
I don't think anyone in this call disagrees with you, Michael. Hey, do us a favor. Oh, go ahead, Dylan. Sorry.
One more question, just because you're as big a super fan as Auburn as I am. What's your favorite Auburn event that you have attended?
My favorite Auburn event that I have attended. Oh my goodness! So I'm kind of one of those crazy ones because I was here when COVID happened, and then I was here for the full COVID sports year. The last year was pretty epic. Oh my goodness! That's hard. I'm going to go with. I want to go with basketball, and I'm going to go with LSU in 2020, where Auburn was coming off we were tied for first. We had beat Kentucky the previous week. College game day made their first appearance ever in Auburn, Alabama. The following week, LSU comes to town. We have to beat them to clinch a share, or not a share, but clinch a spot on the number one line. I think we ended up finishing in, I think, 3 or 4 that year. Anyway, LSU comes to town. You have the famous Samir shimmy he did after making the 3, and then Auburn wins on a tip-in ball by Javon McCormick. What an outstanding game! What an outstanding atmosphere that was before the world changed for COVID.
Fun fact: I'm in the back. I'm in the third row up, right behind this the scoreboard. If you want to watch that clip of the game winner. Anyways, do us a favor before we get out of here, Michael. Tell everybody where they can find you, love you, support you, and check out what you do in and around the Auburn community.
Well, sure. Once you guys, thank you guys for having me. I am Michael Floyd. You can follow me on 2 different Instagram accounts. My bad. Scratch that. 2 different Twitter accounts. Obviously, you have my main one. It's Auburn Superfan number 2 at AU Jungle VP. And then the second one is at Z Michael Floyd. That one is mainly for high school sports. I help out with Powerhouse Sports, which covers high school sports in the state of Alabama, parts of Georgia, and northwest, northeast Florida, mainly in the Panhandle. So those 2 of my accounts: Instagram, AUWBP, Facebook, Michael Floyd. It's going to be me and a picture of Bruce freaking Pearl. But once again, guys, thank y'all so much for having me. And before I go, I know I get a lot of credit for what I do in the jungle. Last year, we had a great group of people. This year, we've expanded the staff to 13, I believe. And as I stated before, Daniel was a part of that. Jenny McBride serves as our outstanding president of our organization. And she does a great job keeping me in line, keeping all of us in line. But, the jungle is not just my show. It's more than a one-man hit wonder. But I think Auburn students come to Auburn wanting to make a change. And through the jungle, we have done that. But, guys, the College Loop is the best podcast in the land, and I can't wait to come back on.
Daniel, tell people where we can find you. I appreciate you, Michael. We're going to wrap it away, but just because we don't pay for Zoom, so we're running a little time here. So we appreciate the heck out of you, man. Daniel, tell people where you can find you real quick.
On Twitter at Daniel J. Locke, The Observer, any Auburn student media platform, I'm there. You can find me any of those places.
I'm at by Harrison Tarr on Twitter. If you feel so inclined to listen to more of my work, I'm on the Auburn Daily. My written work is all there at the Auburn Daily. No gimmicks. I'm on the show every Wednesday with Dylan Larck, not Daniel, not yet. And then on Friday with the lovely Lindsay Crosby. Every single Friday talking Auburn baseball, Auburn basketball, everything in between. And Dylan's going to tell you where to find all of our work. We're appreciative for Michael Floyd. You guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the basketball game. Dylan, go ahead.
I'm Dylan Larck at your boy The Tank on Twitter. That is at YABOI The Tank. You can catch me on the Auburn Daily Show every Monday with Lance Daw and Wednesday with Harrison Tarr. Check out yesterday's episode where we talked about the win against Missouri and a couple of draftees that we thought were ranked a little too low in the draft. But yeah, follow us on the College Loop everywhere except for MySpace. That's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And with that,
Rocky Top.